Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk about house protection ideas. So for us, the summer solstice is a really good time to work on house protections and protection in general, so I thought this would be a great video to make, just kind of giving you some ideas on some things that you could do during this season to protect your house, also, or your apartment. So number one, before you do any kind of protection work, physically and spiritually cleanse and clean your house. And we're not talking like the little bits of cleaning, especially if you haven't done like a deep clean in a long time. Great time. Open the windows early morning, vacuum, mop, take everything off the walls, clean your walls. If you've never done that, what my family does, I don't know if you're supposed to do this, but this is what I was always taught, is you take like, you know the scoopy thing from your laundry detergent, like the powdered stuff? You take like a fourth of that and a bucket, like a big bucket, of not quite boiling water, but like pretty warm water. Pour it in, mix it, obviously use gloves, and a rag, cleaning rag, and then we just use that to wipe down our walls, clean them. Usually we dust it first and then clean it, but we do that at least once a year just to kind of get the gunk off the walls. The walls get gross, so like you want to clean those. Let alone you want to move your big furniture, clean underneath them, stuff gets under there, even like dressers and bookcases and stuff. Take everything off, clean those, move them, clean underneath and the wall behind. Like we're talking deep clean. Also, if you ever haven't, like clean like the vents and stuff of like your furnace, because that's important to do. And then of course energetically go through and clean. There's a variety of ways you could use sound, so like a singing bowl or a bell or even just clapping. Also, there is more of a contemporary version where you would play some upbeat music to just kind of set the mood of the room. A lot of people tend to do that when they're cleaning anyways. You play some really upbeat music to get you going, whatever. That works too. You can also bless with a candle. I have a specific one that I'll be using. It's kind of a gnome shaped dude and it happens to be orange. My fiance picked it out for me a few years ago and I just never had a use for it. And I decided that is a good one to use to bless our home. And so we're gonna be kind of just infusing that, so like the energetic chargings of it and then oils and stuff for protection and things like that. But you could use a normal candle, like a white candle or even a black candle, to absorb or, you know, get rid of the unwanted energies. You could burn it individual rooms or take a candle and go through each room, whatever suits your fancy. But like there's a lot of different ways to cleanse an area, just whatever works for you, or even make a spray or burn some incense, whatever. Just energetically cleanse it just as deeply as you would for your physical cleaning. Typically I'll do that after I've done the physical cleaning. Next, and this doesn't apply if you have an apartment per se, you could, if you have your balcony and whatever, but to cleanse your yard as well. A lot of times people do not consider cleansing your yard, but you would do the inside of your house. Your yard collects a lot of energy too, because you have a lot of deliveries and random people walking by and a lot of just random energies constantly going around. Personally, I like to cleanse it, especially if you've had like a big party or anything and like those lingering energies just in the air and stuff. Some people don't feel like you need to cleanse outside. Personally, I find that I do, just not as much. So just kind of more of a boundary setting of like, this is our space, claiming it. And it's also, you know, just clean up your yard. If, like us, you have a dog, she tends to leave her murdered victims of her toys around everywhere. You got fluff and plastic and just crap everywhere all the time. So clean that up, obviously clean up after her, and then mow, weed eat, you know, weed your garden, whatever. Just cleanse physically and then also spiritually. Go through with an incense. It's a lot easier outside than inside if you are smoke sensitive. But you could also, you know, do your crystal grids and stuff like that outside. If you do live in an apartment, you could do a crystal grid inside too, or even on your balcony again. If you are doing any protective stuff outside magically, don't use salt water. Salt water is really bad. So salt water will kill your grass and your plants. They do not like salt water. So just keep that in mind. Be careful what you're putting out there. You don't want to kill your stuff. I kind of mentioned this, but the third thing is crystal grids. So you could set one up for the inside of your house, or if you have an apartment, just put a few like houseplants or whatever, or different corners of your house to put up some crystals. Or if, like what we do, is we put it around the whole yard, and then that obviously includes the house. Crystal grids are really easy to make. There's a ton of videos out there talking about them. If you want me to talk about the basics of it, I can, let me know in the comments. But just a simple crystal grid using whatever protective stones that you choose. Typically I like to use clear quartz. It's pretty easy to come across and it can be used for whatever purpose you need it to be. I also like to use citrine, and usually I'll try and include some kind of a black stone, so onyx or black tourmaline, whatever I can find. I typically like to include that as well. Also even like a tiger's eye. And now that I've been using the runes more, I would also include like either painting or carving a rune and including that into the crystal grid. Some people don't like to mix and mingle stuff. Personally, I figure a tool is a tool and use it however you need to and whatever works. And I also kind of mentioned this before, but to make your space sacred with a candle. So like I mentioned, I have my little gnome, my orange gnome that I'll be burning. So what I do is I have a specific phrase that I will use after, like say for the house cleansing, I deep cleaned it, I went through with the broom, swept out all the old, and now I'm going through and setting the intentions with my candle. So I'll go to each room and I'll have a few lines of something that I'll say, something along the lines of like, I reset the intentions of this house, this is protected. In this home we have harmony and abundance and prosperity and happiness or something. And then, you know, through free will, with the least amount of harm, someone to be, something like that. Then I'll go to the next room, do the same thing, and then do a visualization alongside as the candle's burning. You could either leave it lit the whole time or snuff it between rooms as you walk, whatever. But if you had the means and you didn't have any pets or any children and you were doing it very safely, have a candle for each room and just let it burn down. Just be careful leaving candles unattended because fire hazard is a thing. And also do be careful that it doesn't drip, because we had that when we moved in. We had a red candle and we ended up leaving it in the center because we hadn't moved in, so it was an empty house. It was the day we got our keys and we had left the red candle for just like a little bit and it had dripped off of its little holder thing that we had because it pooled over, so like babysit your candles. But the red wax has forever stained our floor. Forever. It's a hardwood floor. It now has a couple red drops that like it's never gonna go away. Maybe when we varnish the floors eventually, but yeah, just be careful with that. So this goes with a book we just recently talked about, The Witch's Broom, is to create a protective broom that you are going to hang on your front door. Taking that concept, I really am tempted to get the cinnamon brooms are gonna start to sell soon for this, you know, like holiday season that they always do. To get like one of the bigger ones, because they have like the ones that are like mini and then they have the bigger ones. Do that, but decorate it for each of the seasons. Again, that book talked about it, but have each one like different protective energies with it. Like winter protective energies versus summer protective energies for me is always a little different. And to have that and then infuse it and charge it each year, maybe redecorate it, change it up a little bit, reinfuse it different oils and stuff, and hang that on your front door. Or whatever door you use the most common. We equally use the front and side door, pretty much the same amount, so I would just use our front door, but it's up to you. Also, a good way to just constantly have protection is to plant certain things that are good for protection, different herbs, and if you're able to in an apartment, you can just have like one or two in like your window or you can have a balcony. If you have a yard, you have way more options. Like we have so many different things planted specifically for protection. Like you've got an abundance of opportunities of what you want to do, but just to have something, at least one or two things planted for protection is always a good idea. You can also connect and honor either the land spirit or the house spirit. People kind of have differing viewpoints on that, but typically a lot of people will agree that there is a kind of an energy that lives in a house. And I've figured out that as we've learned more about the history of our house, like it always gives it a little bit more character. Like, because our house was moved here, like it was not built here, which is why it sits funky on the foundation. But like learning the history of it and like how we got the wood floors, because like we didn't put them in, but apparently an old high school got torn down, so they put the wood floor into our house to help renovate it, and it was like, okay. Like just random stuff, it's gonna give it character. So start working with the energy of your house or also your land, especially if you have like a lot of acreage. Oh, so much fun to work with I love to work with the Fae. Other people don't. I have zero problem with them. It's just like people. If you treat them good, they're gonna treat you good. If you treat them like crap, they're gonna treat you like crap. Plain and simple. Also, to have a altar set up or a deity that you work with to specifically just work on protecting your house and your home energies. I am currently actually setting this up. I'm planning on using Frigg. for that. To me, she just is the goddess of the home. And you could also include like Bridget, or even like, for me, I feel like Caradwyn is more of the kitchen specifically. Like kitchen witchery just feels like her vibe with her cauldron, but that's just me. But I do want to have one like for Frigg for specifically like our house, like the whole thing. All of the housework and crap is dedicated to her, which might sound pretty weird, but it's stuff that needs to be done, and as you're doing it, if you're keeping her in mind. And like if I'm cleaning or if I'm working, I'll usually have a simmer pot going where you just put water and some herbs and you just put it on a low setting on your stove. It makes your house smell nice and also can cleanse and bless and set whatever intentions you need. And so to have an altar set up to her, give her an offering to just kind of continue to bless your home. Also, you can have a bowl of salt by your most frequently used door to collect any extra gunkety energies as you're coming and going. And then what I would do is just exchange that either once a month or at the Sabbats as you're bringing in a new season, get rid of the old. And for that, again, don't just like put that outside. Salt's not like ideal for anything. So that one, you're okay to just kind of dump that. I wouldn't use a lot of salt, I would just have a little bowl, little tiny dish. You don't need a lot, magic goes quite a ways. And then lastly, this is one that I don't think a lot of people would consider when you're thinking of house protection, but for us at least, our driveway is very much connected to the house. And so cleanse your car because that is bringing in a lot of energy. That car has seen a lot of stuff. Cleanse and clean and bless it just like you would your house, so that you're not constantly bringing in other energies, because you're going in and out of your car and you're bringing that in. You know, you get your groceries are in there, bringing that into your house, your purse, your bags, whatever, constantly in and out. That energy is mingling endlessly. Clean that out as well. So anyways, I hope this has been helpful and gave you a few ideas. I would love to hear what you do for house protection or apartment cleansing and all of that jazz in the comments down below. Do make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I do post every single day. If you would like to support me, I do have additional content going out pretty regularly on my Patreon at patreon.com/NightOlaCrafts.